losers.
Welcome.
Jump through a ring. Jump through a ring.
The GeekVerse podcast. We are now live.
Do it.
And I am joined by Travis, Kirkland, Taylor, myself, and Dylan.
Untitled podcast. You do this
Jesus.
Yeah.
I hear what you're saying.
Yeah, my podcast.
I don't know where I'm going. Were we live the whole time?
Oh yeah, that's why I said keep going.
That's it.
Yeah, no, that's my
Episode
thing.
192. Let's get down to the nitty gritty. You're here for the Bethesda post-game show, the
Bethesda.
recap.
Pathines.
Wolfenstein.
Steve!
So we're gonna review the conference, give our overalls, and we're gonna break it down game by game. Who wants to go first?
I am fucking pumped watching that one back. I can tell you that much.
Oh.
That was sick. I have never seen a conference that started out so shitty and ended so strong. That was
Yeah.
That was a wild
Oh my God,
roller
that
coaster
was-
ride.
I think for this conference, I'm going to have to judge it on pre-Todd Howard and post-Todd Howard conference. I don't think you can judge the whole thing as one conference.
I'm
Because-
gonna have to agree.
I'm gonna.
Yeah. That's how wild it was.
No, I am blown away. That was amazing. Starfield and Elder Scrolls obviously just essentially name drops,
Yeah.
but still enough. That's enough for me.
It's good to know they're out there.
And it's telling that next year, we'll at the conference we'll probably get I don't know if we'll get gameplay for either of them, but maybe we'll get gameplay for one of them. It's just nice that they are acknowledging that these games
set in
exist.
stone now.
That's why.
It's printed.
That's why I wanted to ask you, as far as you guys, what do you think will be the timing of those two? Because for Elder Scrolls, obviously you guys are going to get hyped. For me, Starfield, I got hyped because that was a confirming. That was always rumored. We always knew Elder Scrolls 6 was going to happen. I never questioned.
Well,
when
with
you guys,
the existence of Starfield, I thought, okay, Elder Scrolls might not happen
Okay,
for
fair
another
enough.
5 or 6
especially when you
years.
drop Starfield.
Yeah.
But now
Okay,
they wouldn't
yeah.
drop the title if it wasn't within at least a 2 or 3 year.
But then I'll
Fine,
ask you
I
the
would say.
timing. What is the timing of Starfield and Skyrim? Because I don't think next year. Sorry, I'm so used to Skyrim being around. Elder Scrolls with.
Uh-huh.
Next year, we're already talking about 2019 E3, but next year, we've said they will never go this fall, Starfield and Elder Scrolls 6 coming out at the same time.
Elder Scrolls 6 was going to be after Starfield.
Yeah, he said we're
Okay.
looking to the future. Starfield is our new thing, and then beyond
After
that,
that,
after
yeah, that's
is
what he
Elder
said.
Scrolls.
That's what he
Yeah.
said.
So do you think,
Yeah,
I could see Starfield being a next year November game?
I think so.
I could
yeah.
see them doing
Really?
Yeah, I think so.
an E3 thing,
I
a
could see
big
it.
reveal E3, and then a couple months later.
I think they'll do the exact same
Think so?
thing they've done with Fallout 4 and Fallout 76, that
yeah.
Starfield will come out a couple weeks before E3,
Mhm.
build the hype, and then they'll do the full reveal
Yeah.
here. My thing is, does that mean Elder Scrolls is the fall after, or is it they do the March, spring 2020 thing?
I mean, I feel like
We're talking about that in the beginning.
Elder
Whatever.
Scrolls kind of
We're
has
doing
that theme of releasing in November. I know
Mhm.
a lot of their games do release in November,
Mhm.
but that'd be my first opinion. I think they would go with that same November.
They like that time slot.
Yeah.
Clearly it's done well for them sales
leading
wise.
into holidays,
Mhm.
so
So,
as well.
I say Starfield is the big push next year, but then you get a longer tease for Skyrim
Mhm.
next year
Yeah.
for fall. But I still,
I'm
there's still part of me that thinks Elder Scrolls could be spring 2020. I
Really?
honestly do. I really do.
no,
Enough
I
time.
think it is going to be
Fall?
farther than that. Yeah, I think it'll be potentially even a bit longer than that.
Really? Okay.
Well, just because they're rolling out Fallout 76, and that's going to be getting DLC and stuff. Starfield's going to come out, that's going to get DLC, so they're going to want to space this stuff out. Plus, by the time this comes around next year, Arcane's going to have another Dishonored, something like that.
Mhm.
So, yeah, no, this is really plotting out the timetable when things are going to release. It's really exciting, but just to get all of those announced and acknowledged is really, really huge.
Oh, absolutely.
The other thing, because this comes in the conversation we're talking about with Xbox, it will be interesting to see what happens next year if PS5 and new Xbox is a thing, and if that dictates at all as far as, it won't dictate because they'll still release how they go, but as far as
I could see the next Elder Scrolls being on new consoles.
Yeah,
Oh, absolutely.
I think there's a
Yeah.
chance it's not on maybe Xbox because they do their backwards compatibility, maybe, but there's a chance that's not on. There's a high chance not on PS4 or
Mhm.
Xbox One. So
Mhm.
I think Starfield though comes out current gen. That's my prediction.
I think it's when the
think so.
last.
I feel like it'll be one of those things where it'll come out.
It's
next
hard-
gen and
I'm
then
trying-
they'll,
I think it is hard to say because if they
current
want-
gen, and then year goes definitive Game of the Year edition
Yeah,
on the new gen.
exactly.
With
That's
all the
possible.
DLC or
That's what I
something.
see.
Yeah,
That's tough because let's play devil's advocate and say next year is the new consoles and they usually release in November. New consoles always come out late October, November. that's where it's like I don't know. Maybe I would think if it is coming out before consoles, I think I think Starfield could come out a little earlier than November. If it's not on new consoles, I could see it in September because you don't want the hype of new consoles to override your big game out there, and if it's not available on the PS5.
Well, that's the thing, right? They could have announced these this year in preparation, knowing their insider scoop that next year is going to be
new consoles,
PS5, whatever, next Xbox, and then that's when you time the
that's what they should call it,
announcement of those. But obviously, we didn't get any gameplay. But I'm thinking possible that Starfield is made with the same engine of Fallout 4, so that would make me think that possibly it could come out with the current gen of consoles. Yeah, I don't know. Where do we want to go? Like, do we want to go start from the beginning? Or?
I think
I say we can
start from the beginning. I think
okay.
A lot of the beginning stuff we can run through pretty quickly.
I guess.
We're already just
on
going in my overalls, and then we already got
it's up to you guys because we're already on. We've already talked a bunch of Fallout. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
I kind of want to get through all that stuff. Because really, if we can all just agree that the presentation itself was very below average.
The first half was awful.
Honestly, it felt like two different conferences.
Well, they brought way too many people out. You don't need someone for every single game. Those people for Prey, they had like a pre-trailer little skit, and then they came out afterwards.
That was
like
very weird.
Yeah, weird pacing, and then obviously they had the live band, which was.
I'll give you guys the band. There was some awkward stuff. I didn't think it was as bad as you guys were saying because there was awkward times on stage, but they weren't there too long. There was some.
I'll disagree with the guy who was like constantly looking for claps. The guy, Elder Scrolls guy. What?
Nah.
His name is
Fryer.
Not Elder Scrolls.
Not Fryer.
Karen.
Elder Scrolls Online.
Karen.
Oh, Elder Scrolls.
Yeah,
that was the guy who like after every like 5 words he was like,
literally
looking for
every
applause.
like sentence he said. Yeah.
And the Rage guys who there was like probably like a good 20
Well,
seconds.
their prompter went down, so I'll give them a. Well, I think it went down, so I'll give them a pass.
The rest of them weren't so bad, but it's the pacing of it that after every trailer. Obviously, Bethesda isn't something like a Microsoft where they're going to show off 50 games in one conference.
Yeah.
So the pacing is obviously going to be a bit different, but
yeah,
I don't know. I think it was just kind of slow, and obviously if you're. I don't know. I think every single game showcase was really good.
Yeah,
this
I
conference,
agree.
and that's where it's kind of hard for me to say. Like what was the first game? Was it Rage?
It was Rage 2, yeah.
Yeah. So Rage, I didn't know what to expect because I
Same,
never played the first one, and I'd never even seen gameplay of it. So it was just a wild card, and I don't know why I didn't really research it before this conference, but I didn't. But anyway, here we are, and it looks very Doom-like. Fits in with like Doom, Wolfenstein, the other kind of shooters that Bethesda has. But massive open world and some really like. Creative mechanics, look really fast paced, really fun combat and fighting. So you've played.
I played a little bit of.
I played a little Rage. It looked like a completely revamped.
Totally,
Literally, the only thing in common is the theme and the name. As far as gameplay mechanics, I mean, there are obviously some things are similar.
Like
still first person. There's still things going on.
That's kind of like Prey.
But it looks like they just redid and revamped the whole system, and it looks. Like a huge improvement. Like it looks amazing.
Yeah,
I'm super stoked on that.
I'm super stoked. And like going into this, I was like, "Okay, Rage 2, this is just like a write-off game for me. Like I'm not gonna get excited for this." But like this, even Travis over here, he's totally against first-person shooters.
Yeah,
like,
I don't play
totally get this game
because obviously there could be some slow parts, but it looked really fast, quick, and snappy. And it was the weapons. Like I think it was that opening salvo of he shot that guy and threw the boomerang and he just went gone. And I was like, I want to do that. Yeah, and there was just cool attacks. There was cool landscapes, and it's a game that. I don't know if I'd get day one because it's an $80 game and I don't know how the story will be, but that's a game on sales. Or even when is it? It's coming out. Did they say when it was coming out? I'll look when you guys talk about. Yeah, for me, first-person shooters don't do it, and that was like, I want to sit down and play that.
No,
and
totally,
that's tough to sell me on those because I'm not really into them.
No,
so it
I
looked
totally
great.
agree. Like that one gameplay trailer, like it sold me on it. Like I want to get this game. Like,
I absolutely love the vibe and the feel of it. Being so bright and colorful, super cheesy, and what it really reminded me of is Bulletstorm. I don't know if you guys played it. I know Dylan has heard me rant about it a lot. That was like one of my favorite shooters, just like for fun, and it was just so wild, so over the top, and so vulgar. And there was stuff like that where you like kick people and they go flying out, and then you like cool, like crazy, just like fun trick shots and kills and stuff.
There's a couple scenes where like a guy like killed a guy with a shotgun. He like blew into purple smoke or something. It's man, like it's so colorful and fun.
And we were talking about this when they cut in the middle of the collector's edition of that monster on the wall and everything. Like now we can actually get it in the game. It just seemed like maybe this is some fun thing. I got a lot of like Deadpool humorous vibes where it's like it's not breaking the fourth wall, but it felt like that. Like it just felt like a good time. Spring 2019. So see, this is a game if nothing is on around that time. I honestly would buy because
yeah.
I think
there's
it's
already
good.
100 games coming out February 22nd.
Yeah,
so
but
I remember you saying that like you'll be done Spider-Man by this time.
Well,
so you
yeah,
could
and
play.
I think if this came in November, this game gets fucking eating alive. So
Yeah.
that's a good idea to put in spring because spring that'll be more March, April, so they'll avoid that February cloud of what's going on there. So if they do April, March, that's not too bad. So yeah, if it reviews well, I might be getting this and it looked like a very unique world. So,
and I want to say like the whole atmosphere again too is great because their other shooters like Doom and Wolfenstein are very kind of much more darker and grim. So it seems like the same sort of sim style of shooter because these Bethesda ones have a fairly similar aesthetic to them.
Yeah.
But this one seems like completely different than the other two, which I think is really big.
Bethesda reminds me, they're like the MCU of gaming, where it's like they have their template, but the directors come in and put their own style on.
Yeah.
Like you can look at all these games, and be like, oh, Bethesda's producing these, or they're in the family, but it's completely different here and there. So yeah, good point.
So yeah,
What do you
Rage
feel
2
about
looks
it?
pretty great.
I never played the first one. That was back on like PS3, 360.
It was an
days,
old,
wasn't
like
it?
long time ago.
Yeah,
when the first
so-
one came out.
Yeah, it was 360.
Yeah, I mean, the trailer was fantastic. I loved how, you know, like the rock concert at first was like, okay, come on, they're doing the whole song, but finally they got
And the crowd shots for people, if you've never watched Conference, go back and watch it because like
That
just
40-year-old white dude.
a
man.
few white guys just looking around
And
like,
they were not
I don't know what
expecting
to
it because they'd change the camera angle. They'd be like, after 1 second, they go, "Shit, we gotta get out of here." These people
I
are
like
not
that one
ready."
guy though. He was like, "Oh, I'm feeling this. I'm like this."
Yeah, but once the game popped in and just seeing like, oh, you know, you see it, you drive it, and just going around, just
drive it.
That's what sold it on.
That's what sold it.
Yeah.
But I think it just had a huge hook. It just laid down this foundation of, you know, what this game is all about, the atmosphere, the environment, just chime right in. And you know, I don't know if I'll get it day one because I got a lot of thinking to do with all these games. But I think this is something I really want to play.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I love the fast-paced movement. I mean, movement is so important for these kind of games, and I
It's
think
not going for that hardcore.
there's so many
realistic
shooters,
combat.
right, that you got to do something different. And I mean, obviously, all sorts of games are trying to innovate movement, but this just looked a lot of fun. Like little mini teleport you could do, just puts you forward like 15, 20 feet, kind of like in Dishonored, you know.
Yeah.
Well,
Exactly.
it looked. What almost I was bringing up the other day with Anthem when they just land and shot. Like I know this is completely different because it's first person, but it looks like there's multiple. Just even if it is shooting, there's multiple attacks and weapons you could use. Like you brought up teleporting. I want to shout. Vincent Burns asked when we thought Elder Scrolls 6 would be. We talked about the bit at the beginning. These guys were saying maybe 2 years from now. I wanted to bring something up because it'll talk about the end. All gaming sites right now are reporting, and who knows, but they're saying that they're stressing about Starfield being next gen. So when we were talking about that could be the last game on PS4, Xbox One. It might not be, and there could be a chance that that's one of the first games
It could
on
be an opening
the new
game
console.
for
So
the new console.
it might not even be on this current gen because that's who knows? It's just because he said it, but every game.
That's something that Bethesda's talked about, and why, one reason Elder Scrolls hasn't come to fruition yet is because they've been waiting for the right hardware to make the game that they want to make, and so I think it makes sense. Another Fallout game. And I think Fallout in general is a little more contained, so you can do it on this current gen with like their current vision. Yeah. And that's probably why they're sticking to like similar sort of things.
You can read the second comment because you can pronounce those countries better than I have because I don't play all their scrolls.
But yeah, I think Starfield as well. Like I don't know if it's going to be going from planet to planet.
Oof, I'm so excited.
Or space. Yeah. I'm not really sure exactly what it is, but I can totally see that being like current consoles are not going to cut it in terms of the hardware, and that's why they're waiting. Yeah, Hammerfell, High Rock. Yeah, those are kind of the two areas it looked like from that quick
That's what I was kind of thinking.
The third one I couldn't pronounce what he said there.
Akavir? I think that's like some...
Akavir is a different continent. So there's Tamriel, which has like Hammerfell, Skyrim, Cyrodiil, all those places on. And then there's another continent that they've always kind of talked about in the lore, but they've never actually like explained much about it. It's a huge mystery. Yeah, they say that's where the dragons came from.
If you got any theories, let us know in the chat.
Yeah, I mean that's cool too because they could do like anything they want with it, right? Because there isn't any obviously in the first Elder Scrolls game you could go all over the map, but it was just like very minor.
Very
obviously it's a very old game. Yeah. But I think there's already kind of like preconceptions of what all of these places are like. So when they choose whatever province they want to go to, there's like some layer of like what they have to do to make it fit with the canon. But if they go to another continent,
one big thing about that is that Akavir actually has totally different races too, like brand new ones. Like there's serpentine vampires, which that's like the one that like
big.
It's I heard you call me serpentine vampire.
But yeah, like I don't know. I feel like that might be a bit of a stretch because it'll totally change our whole perspective on what we see Elder Scrolls because we've always just only been on Tamriel, but. If that is though, like holy shit, that is. A whole
if it is something like Hammer, I think they're probably gonna break the mold that they've gone with previous games and just having one province. And I think if they do High Rock, Hammerfell, something like that, it'll be like an amalgamation of multiple areas in one. That's what I figured they'd do if they ever went to the Khajiit province. What's that called? Elsewhere, and then Valinor as well. Like I feel like if they ever did that, when they do
multiple provinces, like even if it is High Rock, I feel like they could cross over because I feel like Somerset Isle is pretty close to because it's an island, right? But it's still pretty close to High Rock, so that could be a possibility. Right. It'd be kind of like how in Skyrim they have in the expansion they go to actually even in Morrowind they go to what's it called?
They go Solstheim.
Yeah, Solstheim.
Yeah. That's because it's like in between two. Yeah.
A shout out to Dances with Trolls, great YouTube name, I like that.
What is his name?
Dances with Trolls, the one that posed that question. He said Akavir is the equivalent to ancient China for Elder Scrolls.
Yeah, they say it's a lot about
and then
feudal Japan.
Dances with Trolls, he also said the reveal blew the entire rest of E3 out of the water. Because not much has happened this weekend, man. Thank goodness we needed a good conference because I liked Xbox, but nothing like this. So after that was Elder Scrolls Online.
Legends.
Yeah, it's whatever.
Card game.
Yeah. It was Legends combined.
Whatever. Yeah, Legends is getting a full overhaul in the graphical department, and it's coming to
pretty much every
console you could ever imagine. That's pretty cool. I mean, I've played a few matches of it. I'm just not really a big card game guy, but I think it is cool. It does something different, at least from Hearthstone's the other big competitor right now. I haven't played Gwent, so I think it's quite a bit different from Gwent, obviously. Yeah, that's cool, and I think every year we're gonna get some showcase of what they're doing with Legends. So.
Yeah. I like the new platforms though, like the Switch and
I mean, like the Switch is a great console for it,
especially like I'm not like what you said. I'm not a big card game guy.
Card gamer.
A card gamer, but it's still really cool how they're bringing it to these other platforms, specifically the Switch. That's mobile.
My negative was I felt like the Elder Scrolls Online, the card game. I know they do it every year, and with Quake, it felt like the past 2 years this was a longer showcase. Even if it was 2 or 3 minutes, it felt like, especially Quake. Usually they don't do much, but the other stuff, I guess I know why they do it, but it felt a little longer, and especially when Matt came out, that took a little while. And
yeah, that was a pretty poor reveal, especially because it was for a DLC that just came out like recently, so I understand why you'd want to pimp it out, especially with an MMO where it's
Somerset.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I mean, it was cool. It was cool cinematic. It was nice to see, but didn't need that much time. Especially like, I mean, I talked about it earlier, but yeah, his presenting skills, like he was just looking for applause every 5 seconds.
His wife just left. It was 5 years ago, man.
His wife just left. Yeah, it was that was a bit too much for me. Yeah, these are the things we deal with in the Bethesda conference, I guess.
Yeah.
Yep.
Always got to see those 2 games.
Exactly.
It makes sense.
And then after that we had
Doom Eternal.
Eternal. I think that it was really just a
twice as many demons, they're saying.
But I don't think they needed a lot of gameplay because Doom gameplay is fairly...
It's pretty established.
Yeah, pretally established between each title.
I'm not expecting like a new
there's going to be like new weapons, some new enemies, but really all we really, like for Doom fans, we just need to know there's another game coming soon, and I'm happy. So I'm super stoked for Doom. I loved that game. That was probably what got me. That was like one of I played it a couple years late, but that got me like in the hype of arcade kind of shooters again. So.
Well, it's like it goes along the lines of that fast-paced shooter, right?
Yeah,
it's similar to what Rage 2 showed. So it's always like it's something new than what we're expecting, as opposed to like a Call of Duty that's just the same thing every year. But like it's something fresh and exciting.
And it's good timing because by the time this comes out, Rage 2 will have had its time in the sun, and then it can kind of move along.
Does it not have the release date?
I will check, but I don't think so. I think it just gave a blanket date or something.
And then see more at QuakeCon.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
QuakeCon will be good to get more details.
But yeah, I same thing. I think it was good just to do the reveal. The trailer was good. That was nice. Even the guys that came out talk, they didn't spend too long, and Hugo was the boss. So I thought. So yeah, QuakeCon August. So I imagine that's maybe when they might hint around more. But no time window yet.
And whatnot.
Yeah. So, but yeah,
I'm happy with it.
Yeah, no, Doom's cool to see. I like that it's a game that accepts that. It doesn't have a great story. That's not what we're about. But it just goes all out in what it is.
It literally puts the player in the armor, kind of like what like Halo 1, 2, and 3 to some degree. It literally just lets you be the shooter. You're silent. You just go around killing a bunch of demons to some rad tunes.
Exactly.
Really just gritty feelings. And it's great.
It's big for them too because it's going to be a new staple. Because Doom for a while went away until the last game that really brought them up. It was critical. It was a financial success, but the critical success was quite big.
And then even bringing it over to VR, which I think is pretty cool.
It's great that they did such a good job with such like a well-established game franchise already, and I mean, Wolfenstein 2 also very established as a kind of classic dungeon crawling shooter. I'm gonna call it. And Bethesda's just done a great job with those two series, so it's I'm just super excited.
Anything on Doom or you want to move on?
I haven't played too much of it. It looks great. I'm excited for it. Next was the Quake showcase.
Yeah, their big showcase.
It wasn't a huge thing. They just revealed some new characters, I guess, that they're adding into it. I don't know a whole lot about
Was
Quake
that a new
Champions.
game? Or is
Quake
it
Champions? No, it's being released.
Oh, okay.
It looked like they were just adding new.
Quake is Bethesda is like esport. That's a good multiplayer focus, and Quake obviously has its roots deeply ingrained in the esports history in terms of like even bringing it to bigger popularity. So it's really influential series from that perspective, and obviously it's not as popular as it once was. At least people don't seem to be talking about it as much, but I think it's still once again it's like obviously this is like a multiplayer only kind of shooter, but it's cool because of the verticality of it and the movement. Like it's just really fast paced.
Similar to Unreal Tournament, I would say.
Yeah, exactly.
Totally. I got those
Modern day.
I'm not big into Quake, so I can't.
The game literally had the esports scene literally had its own convention.
Wow.
Called QuakeCon.
Oh, yeah, I guess
that's what it is.
I've heard of it.
Prey DLC was next. Do you want to take that?
Yeah, I was not expecting Prey DLC.
I remember what we were talking
for
about
a couple reasons. One, I didn't know.
Travis told you.
For two reasons. One, the game just didn't sell all that well, so I don't know if they were gonna continue working on it or if they're just gonna move on to the next project or something. But also, I didn't know how they were gonna add DLC to the game, how they were gonna expand it, and so the way they did just really surprised me. Like that's why I think this is great, because I was thinking like, hey, what are you gonna add some part to the ship and then extend the story and involve it into the story? Like how is that gonna work? And it wouldn't, and so that's why they didn't do that. So for one, they added that's coming out today is a new game plus and
story mode.
And what was the third?
I'm getting it right.
Setting?
Survival.
Yeah.
I quickly went on. Actually, you're probably there, but
is story mode gonna be any different from?
Apparently, the story mode is more casual. You just want to experience the story, and then there's new game plus.
Okay.
Well, I mean,
so it's more of a cinematic experience.
Exactly.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's probably you pick story mode and then your difficulty, and that will kind of determine how much.
Yeah, and then for the new game plus, it's more like you have to focus on. I didn't play the game, but I think it's resource managing. I don't know if you have oxygen levels or something.
Would that not be the survival one?
I might be.
Because new game it's separate. It's story mode, survival mode, and new game plus. Those are the three.
Yeah, I feel like new game plus would just be literally new game plus.
You don't have an oxygen level, but there's a lot of resource management and upgrading and stuff like that throughout the game.
So yeah, I think story mode is just because now they need a separate mode for the main thing. Yeah. New game plus, it's such a big thing
so
now.
use the technical terms. They got story mode will allow a casual way to play through the narrative. Survival mode will offer a new level of challenge. And new game plus will give players who are already completed the game an incentive to dive back in.
Back in.
So kind of
I remember Arkham Asylum or Arkham City had a new game plus, didn't it?
Yeah.
It's everywhere.
It's just harder.
Yeah. I think that the idea of the survival mode for them is really cool because it's always fun just being on a space station, lots of resource management, which you said was part of the game.
Yeah, I'm a big advocate for the survival.
Now you're just chilling in the space station and just trying to survive for as long as you can. So I think that's a really cool DLC.
Yeah. I think, and I mean, one thing that Arcane does really well between Dishonored and Prey, I think they're the best at it right now is level design. So taking the levels and adding the survival mode to it to use them in a new way is going to be really interesting, because obviously the way you play the game right now, obviously there's different pathways you can go, but really some aspects are more linear, but then when you actually get to the levels, they're all sprawling. But survival really adds like I don't know, you can really take the environment and explore it in every possible angle, I guess. And then the DLC that they have coming out in, I think they said sometime this summer, is really interesting to me. Some sort of like roguelike element where there's a randomly generated pathway or level. I'm not exactly sure what it is. I'm really curious to get like all the details on it.
There's no date for the DLC. The only thing that I have right now is going to be $19.99.
The vibe I got from it is that the enemy spawns and what equipment and stuff the enemy drops are all random. So sort of like what upgrades you'll get throughout the playthrough is all going to be random. So how you're going to approach different situations is going to be different every time.
Mm-hmm.
The overall level and like the pathways and stuff I think are going to be the same. But the hazards, I guess there's going to be environmental hazards. It showed the one that where like the hallway was just normal, and then another one where the hallway was on fire.
Right.
So I think there's going to be a different themed environment to hazards.
I'm curious how that's going to fit into like the current map too, because that like big biodome like moon base sort of area, like that's not in the base game. That's a new area. So I'm curious how like what kind of new areas they're going to have, and if it's just connected to the old space station.
Well, I remember
played through both of
when
them,
they were showing like gameplay. It said like resetting simulation. So
yeah. I get the
yeah.
feeling that it's obviously randomly generated, so it's going to change things every time. But I figure it's going to be like a shorter, like maybe it's like a half an hour sequence or something that you would go through, maybe half an hour to an hour, and you just play through like a small like level or something.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm really curious to get the details, but I think that is a really clever way to add DLC to Prey, because I was curious how they would add DLC if they were going to.
I can see it being like maybe they have like 3 or 4 different runs that you do, and each one is only like 20 minutes. Because if they have like a 2-hour long sequence and you get an hour and a half in and then you die, that's kind of disheartening to keep playing. But if they're shorter sequences and then you have like this one where it's like you go and this is the final objective, and another one where you go and this is the final objective, so that it adds a little bit more.
You might have different objectives every time too, right?
Yeah.
So one thing might only take you 20 minutes, whereas another objective, you might have to do multiple steps and it would take you an hour or more.
I kind of got the impression that the levels weren't always the same every time. Like, since like when you explore, like every time like you complete your objective or complete your this small time level, and you go to do it again, it's consistently always different, the layout and everything.
Yeah,
that's
it could
how
be
I
like
there's so much you can do within that system, because
different ones are open.
Like the way the game is designed already, like something as simple as whether or not a doorway is open or not can really affect like just how a level works, because there is so many ways to do everything. That's the same as Dishonored, where you have so many options to like do any level, and they really amp that up even more in Prey.
Yeah.
So there is like just something as simple as like having a door locked and having a door unlocked could really change like how a level is going to play out. So I'm really curious to see what the random generation is, like what kind of things it's going to add in terms of props on the map, or if obviously it'll change enemy spawns and like what types of enemies, what type of weapons you're going to find. But yeah, this has me really excited. I think this is definitely getting me back into Prey again, and I think hopefully for you guys to motivate. I mean,
I have the game, so I'm much more motivated to actually finish Dishonored 2 and then play Prey.
Yeah.
So
it's cool they dropped it today too. Like
yes.
Next time you log in, it's on.
Well,
that's the story mode. Is
sorry, not the DLC.
But the DLC's not too far out, I guess.
Actually,
it didn't have a date, right?
As far as websites, I've tried to look on Twitter, on IGN, no one has the date of it yet.
I imagine it wouldn't be more than a couple months.
Hopefully not too long, I want to get my hands on that.
After that was Wolfenstein Youngblood announced.
As far as that goes, I imagine it's very similar to what they did with the Old Blood for Wolfenstein The New Order.
One would think. Which was what?
It was basically a $20 game, its own separate game that you buy.
Okay.
You don't need it's not a DLC.
Yeah, Dishonored, Dead of the Outsider, same thing.
Yeah, exactly. It's its own game, but it's much shorter. It's only a couple hours long, and it's more of a arcadey kind of throwback to the originals, rather than the more story-based narrative that the full game version would have, I guess. So it's kind of and for this one, it obviously goes into the future, whereas the Old Blood went into the past. So it's much more. They have a lot more fun with it, I guess, and there's a lot more freedom to what they can do without having to kind of break the narrative.
or really worry about a narrative to break. It's just kind of a fun running gun, kind of go through the environment and just kind of have cool secrets and stuff. Almost, I would describe it as almost the way, at least what they did with Old Blood, is it's closer to the Doom style of game than the original sort of more narrative-based one.
Coming 2019.
I like that between that, Death of the Outsider, and Fallout 76, that they're taking the games they've already made, using the same engine and like creating a new experience within it, and not just having it as DLC, but standalone too if you want.
Yeah.
It's cool.
Were the other ones co-op?
For
Wolfenstein, like Wolfenstein 2?
no.
This one is
As far as
Youngblood's co-op.
yeah, so I think that's also really cool because I know
Two-player co-op,
Wolfenstein New Order, Old Blood,
I'm not too sure.
I'll look, but I think it's just
and
two.
New Colossus. I don't think any of those are co-op at all. So
It's a cool
it's
feature
really
to add,
cool
though,
that
yeah.
they're making it.
It's always a great option to have
yeah.
in games like that.
And
I
yeah,
think it's just two because they're stressing you play as twin daughters, and then it goes also
yeah,
play
you
as
can
solo,
play
so
solo
it's-
or you can play duo, which I think is really great.
Totally.
And I love just overall for Bethesda, this includes like how much support they give to their games that they're currently existing games. Like Doom, for example, has had basically support and new content constantly since release up until now, and they're now coming out with a new game. And then Wolfenstein has had new content, and then they also have I haven't played through them yet, but I know they're there. They have like added DLC as well for the new Colossus, which is also kind of ongoing. And then they also have this coming out too. So Bethesda just really
Bethesda
great
just
stuff all
straight
around.
pumping
And then,
off.
as you said, with Prey, they obviously didn't sell as well as they maybe hoped, but they're still adding new content.
They
They're
didn't
still
just give up
supporting
on
it.
the game, right?
Yeah.
Well, I think Prey. I mean, one thing it didn't have going for it was that it's kind of like what you said with Rage, where it's nothing like the original. Like Prey, this soft reboot, you could say. All it has in common is the title of the game. So a lot of people were taken aback by like, what is this? This isn't Prey. But really, they just gotta take it as a new game. So.
Yeah.
Anyway.
But no.
Prey and Wolfenstein VR.
Skyrim on Amazon Echo.
That's not totally Todd Howard's part.
Yeah.
No, that came up after.
This is next. I got the rundown of the show.
That was
Wow.
Todd Howard came out.
Yeah.
It's not my first E3, kid. Prey and Wolfenstein VR experiences, so not the actual games, but experiences. A good idea. They are really in bed with the VR. I'm interested to see, as far as Sony, what they talk about for VR, because I think a report came out
That's
a
a
few
good
months
point,
ago
yeah.
that it was not selling like the way they want. So I don't know how big VR is going to be when we get to next year's VR. Next year's E3, yeah. But next year's E3, because it seems like it's just kind of died down, but they're still plugging away at it. So if they're having success, that's great. But I have more experience just because, or I'm more wondering about these VR experiences because just nobody else is talking about VR. They're the only ones kind of doing that. So
That's true. We had nothing at the other two conferences so
Yeah.
far on VR.
yeah,
I really
so-
like that
And I bet we wanted
with
Sony
their VR
with the
stuff,
4 games.
they're going for those kind of smaller kind of spin-offs of their games too.
Yeah.
They're not trying to do like a whole game in VR.
I guess I will show. Remember, past 2 days, Sony's been doing those games in the morning, and
Yeah,
those
but
are
not
two
getting
VR.
the conference showcase is
True.
obviously huge.
True. Yeah. Anything else? Or move on to the Todd Howard part of it?
Todd Shower.
All right.
Todd showers us with news.
Yeah, perfect start with the Skyrim,
Skyrim,
skit.
very
and
special.
Oh,
everything.
that was amazing.
Yeah.
As soon as I saw that's Peel,
Keegan
right?
Michael Key. No, Peel's
That's
the Get Out guy.
Okay,
Yeah.
Michael Key.
Yeah.
As soon as I saw him, I was like, I love this already.
Yeah. As soon as it's
gonna be
finished,
great.
yeah.
Yeah, those guys are comedians.
No, yeah, really, really good, really awesome by them to embrace like the memes and jokes
Totally,
that people
yeah.
are
Not
talking
my
about. And I
yeah.
love that comment too. He's that where he's like, and I've seen some people online, saying there's maybe some bugs in our game.
Yeah, that was amazing.
Well, that's one of the biggest things. Like when Taylor and I a couple weeks we talked a little about Ubisoft. You look at EA yesterday, and like, oh, we're really sorry about Battlefront. Most developers and for publishers, they feel like they put out this fake persona that they have. Like we know what the fans want. We're doing things for the fans, and nobody else really would poke fun at themselves. Like this just did right here.
Yeah.
My goodness, I need water big time.
Hater.
But
And
the
the
thing is,
hater.
it was a good way to kick it off, one, because we're kind of going through, those were good things to announce, but it was still in that middle period of, okay, what's this conference exactly going to be.
Not. You always know that when it gets to Bethesda Game Studios is when the big stuff's going to drop.
Yeah. So that was fun when I started, but like I said, it's just they do have their pulse, their finger on the pulse. I'm literally everything I want to say right now is what is that called? There's an actual term when it's like you want. I guess I'm being dyslexic, but just with my voice.
Sure.
So, but no, they have their fingers on the pulse. They know what their fans want, and they know the memes. They know the jokes. It's something that has been talked about at every E3. So it was a good way to start, and it was just a funny sketch. So.
No, that was great.
Yeah.
It was, I feel like it was the perfect way to deal with like how the fact that they've just been constantly releasing Skyrim, right? Like they just did it so well, and
you're out of health potions.
Yeah.
How many wheels of cheese do we got?
It's like 400. Yeah, like, and everyone's been there to play that game, so it's just phenomenal.
Yeah, because that's like an insider meme. I remember like
the fridge.
I remember like when Skyrim like there was even a thing in Oblivion where like people would go into like the console command and just spawn hundreds of wheels of cheese. So it's just like a nice deep cut meme that they brought out there.
Honestly, I thought when he was like going through the controllers, I thought he was eventually gonna get to a Pip-Boy and like strap it on and start playing Skyrim there. I thought that would be cool, but I think what they did was probably better.
It's like there's a huge amount of pretty good. He's like, run up it.
And I think that was also the perfect way to transition from what was before. And obviously they didn't plan for the things before to be really shitty, poorly presented by the people and whatnot. And they didn't plan for that to go as poorly as it did, but I think it was a great way to kind of reset the mood and really just make that from that onwards its own thing. And not that it necessarily wants to be isolated and separated from it, but it really just reset the crowd, got everyone in a lighthearted mood again. Everyone was happy, and you could like just looking around, all of us were super stoked again. Because up until this point, we were all just kind of like the gameplay was cool and stuff, but we were all kind of trashing the conference as a whole.
Yeah. Pacing's important.
As soon as this happened, it was like new things are happening. It's a new life. This is great. We're all having a good time, and I think that was absolutely essential to the success of it, and they executed that really well.
Totally, yeah.
And then if that was the big Fallout 76 reveal, for myself, I think the actual reveal. Oh, I thought I could time it. No, I wasn't sure. It was one of those where you had to come and pull it to stop it. So thought it could be.
That's why I gave you the hand.
You did it after I stopped talking though, so we bungled it.
Gotta read my mind, Travis.
I think the presentation of it was great. All the like Vault Boy, all those videos and how they're giving what you do in the world. I mean, that was phenomenal. That was presentation. That was all like 5 out of 5 stuff. That was perfection. That Sony level.
Todd Howard would talk for a little bit, go back to the next trailer.
Exactly. It was all crisp. It was informative, but it was funny. The actual game is something for myself that looks interesting, but I don't know, and that's where I'm going to throw to you guys for me to sell me on it, because for me, I don't think it's what I'm looking for, because I just...
They weren't highlighting the single player.
Well, yeah, because to me, it is one of those that was more on par with what companies do, and it's like, oh, you can play this solo, but then every time it brought up after he said that, it was like, but it's better if you do it this way, and then even the video, like, it's much harder if you do it solo, so it's like, this feels like a game for me that if I just want, and I don't even know, like, you could play it solo, but it doesn't feel like there's an actual story there, right, or anything like that. So for me, that's where it's like the game looks great and it looks lots of fun and it looks something new for them, and I think it's going to be a big success. It doesn't look like there's any red flags for anything, but for myself or anyone that likes the type of games I do that wants that solo experience, a campaign, something like if you have Fallout 4, we have the main story or side quest. I don't think you're going to get that, because with every player being another player, I don't go talk to you on the game like, oh, you have a mission for me to go do, right? You may have some little thing to go do, but there's no story base, there's no really dialogue. So if you're like me, that's kind of for me. I'm like,
I feel like I'm kind of in your boat.
Yeah, it doesn't look like there's no quests or anything, no objectives to do. It's literally just go explore, kill some cool monsters, walk around with your friends.
And that's fun. I just, for myself, I can't be like, I can't throw $80 down just for that.
I totally agree with you,
I do think this might be less than an $80 game.
Really?
I could see this being...
I don't think so. They're going to take us...
Yeah? Oh, yeah.
I don't think so, but it honestly didn't take that long for Fallout 4 to go down in price after it came out. Even though it was selling really well, so... I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised if it's not full price for all that long, or there's some sale goes on or something.
But yeah, overall, it just looked phenomenal. It didn't look like it had really any problems. The whole nuke system was really cool.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Yeah, I like, and it's a good way to kind of deal with to stop people from just like building one house and then just like fortifying it to the point of like it's literally just absolutely insane.
Yeah, I'm interested if it'll like permanently change the landscape though, because I feel like after a while you'll kind of like nuke kind of everywhere.
I kind of got the vibe that you pop down that like camp thing, you open that up and you can start building everything. I kind of got the vibe that maybe, since like picture it as like a campfire, so that's like a tent that you would be setting up. It's just like a full house. So when you pick that thing up again, it will like scoop your house back in there, and then when you get to your new place, you throw it on the camp thing and you can drop the house down.
Yeah, that's what I think will happen. So say when you're on the server, you build this place with your friends, you log out, everything you set up kind of goes back into the box, and then you when you log back in with your friends on a new server, because I guess it just randomly puts you in whatever server is best.
Just every time you log in, your shit's just always destroyed.
Yeah, so you log in, you pull out the camp thing, and you're just like, all right, I want this house, and to set it up here, and yeah,
it is a full price game. Yeah, $79.99.
Okay.
So, and that's my
fair.
that's my hold where, and I know they probably wouldn't do this, but the only comparison I could make is I would never buy GTA Online, but I love that it's in GTA 5, so I can have my story over here. But then when I go and mess around, I have that
separates.
Yeah, with this for me for $80, I can't justify. I love if someone gets it to play it, and like the nuke stuff, like also like tons of fun stuff. But I almost wish it was. They love to do this not because it's a solo game, but I almost wish it was Fallout 5 and then this was something else combined with it, because that to me is the only way I would see myself purchasing this. So
I agree the same way though. Like it just looks phenomenal, but for me personally, it's tough, especially nowadays. Like I don't have that much time to just constantly put in a lot of hours on those games, so I kind of have to be more selective with what I want to purchase and what I see myself like investing the most time into. But
plus Spider-Man's on September.
Plus Spider-Man, yeah, exactly.
Kinda
so
tough.
And then Red Dead around that time too.
Fuck
So
yeah, I see it exactly. I couldn't do,
yeah.
especially Red Dead will probably have an online mode as well, and that's where for me it's tough for me to do that. But I think,
but like I'll still give it like a 10 out of 10. Like it just looks amazing.
Oh yeah, that's great.
No, this is exactly what I wanted. A few months ago I was talking about Fallout, and I like Fallout 4 enough, but it's the same thing as like Elder Scrolls, where I've been iffy with Bethesda and that I'm not loving the direction they're taking these games, but this was a total 180 and exactly what I wanted, because I think the benefits of having a multiplayer experience can really change a game's perception completely. A good example is A Way Out that me and Briggs played, which is really an awful game if you look at it on paper, but because you get to play it with a friend, made it an incredibly enjoyable experience. And looking at, I think that's perfect for Fallout, like all this crazy shit, like with the nuke system. Like
I love the way they just embrace all the wacky crazy shit. Like you can literally just take photos of your crew, like giant beasts you've destroyed, and they have all the crazy poses and stuff.
Yeah.
I love that they're just fully embracing like the really cheesy and fun stuff that you want to be able to do with your friends in online games, but because the game takes itself too seriously, you have to kind of improvise to get those cheesy moments, and now they just have those cheesy moments in the game.
There's emotes in there, similar to like what Fortnite and stuff.
No, this is exactly like when we first saw Fallout 76 and the rumors started spreading instantly of what this game is. Is it an MMO? Is it more this style multiplayer? Is it another single player game? No, this is exactly what I was hoping for, because where I may have been a little bit fatigued with what Bethesda was doing with Fallout, where they're moving with it, this is a perfect direction, because I know it's going to be so much more fun to play this with friends now, and that's I'm just excited too, because I think this means we'll get multiplayer in the next Elder Scrolls game. Exactly. And so to have that fully realized is gonna. I'm first of all really curious how well it's gonna work, and I'm curious if you go in a loading zone inside a building, how that's gonna affect the real time of other players. I'm really curious how it's gonna all work. But the fact that they're rolling it out makes me feel that they're confident enough that it's gonna. Obviously they're throwing up the beta, so obviously they need to get it tested out, and probably gonna have a bunch of glitches, as any Bethesda game does. Especially now you're adding multiplayer. But now is the perfect time to roll out a beta instead of every other game. They just throw it on release and then throw out some bug fixes as people figure out what's happening.
Yeah. So and for me and us, we've literally, I feel like me and you have literally been waiting for a game like this for years.
This is the game we've
since Oblivion, pretty much.
Yeah.
And so.
A Way Out was fine, but 6 hours.
It's been so long since there's been a really great non-competitive multiplayer experience, for me at least. Yeah. Because a lot of the games I play with people online now is just competitive games, and they're fun, but they don't have that sort of same experience. I would say the last good one I had was when I played Dead Island, actually, with me. I remember me and Austin just got the game. This was years after they released too, so they were pretty dated.
And I remember Dead Island is just so buggy and just so bad that it was just so much fun. One of my favorite videos of all time is on that. I'll show you guys after, but it's just like, and just games like those where you just have your friends against whatever the engine throws at you, and you just screw around, have fun, build your own little things, make your character, and yeah, you're just
casual experience.
Exactly, and I think that's exactly what there needs to be, because right now there isn't any modern and like new game that does that. At least that.
Well, yeah, Bethesda has so many more resources than like any other company.
Like the ones I think it would be like an indie game or like an early access on Steam.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like there's so like early access wise, yeah, but no AAA.
This is AAA. Like this is exactly what people want.
I think it's great that there's also like the nuke system just makes it so that
that's so cool.
The experience stays fresh, so that it's not you get together with your friends, you build some big mansion, and you defend it from waves of mutants. It seems like that's some sort of horde mode, where it's like if you build up your base enough and you
people are gonna want
and you stay around in it, then it'll automatically attract hordes of things, which seems like a really fun experience in itself. And then the fact that at any moment in time, if someone like is like playing solo, sneaks around, sees you guys all defending against all these mutants, and then he like goes with his nuke code and then just sends a nuke and then it just resets the whole experience. Then you have to re-emerge from 76.
Exactly.
It's maybe you keep a character, but completely new.
Yeah, it's like it always feels like it would have something like fresh and like new. Like it would always be changed. Like you wouldn't just be like, okay, this is how you win. You know, you just we're at this point that nothing will ever trump us. But it's just like they pull out their new code. And it's just.
And then those moments where you join a server with your friends, and then they're just like building something, and you just go off and nuke their settlement.
It's gonna happen.
It's gonna happen, yeah.
Break some friendships.
Oh man, it's like I don't know what happened. Some guy must just nuked you. I don't know. And then it's like big old whodunit.
Yeah. I'm curious if it would be like a countdown system, like you kind of know that it's coming.
Well, you're gonna see it in the distance.
Oh yeah, you'll probably see it.
Just hope that it's not coming for you.
Yeah. I don't know if they'll have a thing where it's where they'll like. Do you think they'll like show who sent the nuke, or if it'll just be?
I don't think so.
Probably not.
Yeah.
But I think that'd be cool. Just like all of a sudden, just a nuke's coming. You're just like, oh shit! Oh no! Just run!
Yeah.
Run!
Yeah, a lot of questions I have in terms of like how many people are gonna be.
Well, he said dozens, right? So.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd say dozens because he didn't want the post-apocalyptic to be.
But it's also if it's 4 times bigger than Fallout 4, that's gonna be
huge map.
Yeah.
Map. But I think. Because a lot of the game, even though like you're not meant to run into other players a lot unless like they're part of your party, and then maybe after exploring for a little while, I imagine it wouldn't be too hard, just because I imagine signs of player activity would be.
Yeah, there's gonna be systems in place.
Would be pretty apparent.
Yeah.
So you go to some place that everything's gunned down.
Yeah, I really love that he said dedicated servers. So
I never saw this building here before.
Good word to hear.
Totally.
Yeah.
So. It's a lot more colorful than the other Fallout games.
Yeah.
Fallout 4 did this as well. Fallout 3 very green. Fallout 4 for Fallout New Vegas,
like a
very brown.
Color, yeah.
Fallout 4 brought some color. And
this is even. This one's like more green.
This one has like plant life. Like
very lush, which is.
So I'm wondering if that stuff happens on its own, or if that's like part of the building process, so you can like revitalize certain areas and make it your own. Or maybe they said there's 6 like very distinct areas, so maybe there's going to be probably one that's just like completely classic Fallout where it's just rubble.
Yeah.
And then there's probably going to be like a city area, and I think there was one that was like a bog, so like a swampy area. But the monsters, like a lot of crazy monsters. That's what I really wanted to say. Really unique and brand new original characters, and they just look so creepy and like that really
one like what you mentioned, they're like taking selfies with it, like
the
one
giant
with the
sloth too.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that one looks like so much fun. Yeah.
I just loved it.
Like I take a picture with the boys and just frame it on my wall. Our first kill
with the boys.
What was I gonna say? I just had one more. Yeah, so the setting, cool place as well.
West Virginia.
I still think it'd be cool if they went somewhere outside of the U.S. just to switch it up. Like where's Fallout Vancouver? That's fine. DLC Kelowna, like that's fine. But really, like I don't know. I think it would have been cool to try some other place.
You never know.
They're playing it safe for the online.
Especially with how they are, and if this does really well, I could see them adding new maps to it as well.
Definitely.
That could definitely be a possibility.
Yeah.
So it's still 76, and then you can join. There would be different servers for different maps and whatnot. So I think that could very well.
And if it's
be their chance to explore
likely the same engine, maybe a slightly upgraded version of Fallout 4's engine. They could even bring some of that stuff over. Like I think a Nuka world with your friends. It could be fun to cruise around in. Or Far Harbor is one of the coolest DLCs I've ever seen. So that'd be cool to bring something like that over.
And they said they were supporting it for years, and that also makes it interesting.
So maybe eventually bring Fallout 3, New Vegas, like bring it all in.
Yeah, and it'll be interesting next year if they do new consoles. This could be a two-dipper for them because they could open up a whole new audience, kind of like what GTA did with GTA 5, and then brought it over. So if it's successful, they'll bring it over, and then we know they'll bring games to new consoles.
They've been known to do it.
Taylor, did you have anything to add on?
You guys said everything.
Yeah.
My hype is flowing through me at the insane rate.
Well, then Taylor,
the last thing I wanted to say was, it's kind of what you said earlier, but I love the humor in it and like the pacing of the trailer itself and going between
good classic
the Vault Boy little like propaganda stuff and then like Todd Howard setting up the next thing. I thought all of that was really well done, really well rehearsed.
Just beautifully present.
I love that Fallout humor though. Like it's so like happy-go-lucky, cheery, and then he's like, or you can go. It's like, what does he say? Like trade with the locals, right?
Well, it's like before you bring in iced tea to your neighbor, looking for some sugar.
But now he's here for some murder.
Like it's just.
And that voice,
it's so golden, like
amazing.
I've always said since podcast started, I want a TV show. I don't even know if it has to be animated, but I think Fallout is just made for a TV show, and it should happen. And HBO or Netflix, you should get on.
A lot of those little scenes where it's like it showed them like killing the monsters, and then there's like the little vault like in game, and then like the Vault Boys just kicking monsters. That remind me of Cuphead a lot too.
Oh yeah.
That art style.
Yeah, I love it.
Well, Taylor, this is what I'll throw to you first. After this was Fallout Shelter being announced for PS4 and Switch. Why no Xbox?
I don't know why. I mean, obviously, Phil Spencer.
And I don't even mean that as like a jokey slant. Like it felt very strange. Like it felt like, especially he was just at the conference earlier. It felt like they had some disagreement over there, and like fuck that pull from Xbox. Like very weird. Like unless am I missing something? Like is Fallout Shelter already on Xbox? Like am I missing something?
Not that I'm aware of.
I feel thing for it.
I feel like
it's only on PC and
it's free.
right now.
So
maybe Phil was like, you know what? Unveil Elder Scrolls 6 at our conference, Todd. And Todd's like,
and then we'll talk.
Well, we're gonna cut you out of the loop here, Phil. So, no, I think it doesn't bother me. I just play it on my Switch, so and that's out today too, which is pretty cool. So, it's cool to see something mobile that's kind of expanding, which seems to be the general theme for most of Bethesda's mobile features today, is that they're expanding it to other things and other like.
Yeah, the Microsoft Store. No, it's already on Xbox One.
Oh, it is already.
Yeah. Okay, so there's no shade.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, I was like, because that's the only reason I would think like it would not be on there. Like on this
sense.
Yeah, it would have been really strange.
Taylor, you gotta know these things, man. That's why we pay you the big bucks. One last thing I want to say on Fallout. Is I think a big problem with Fallout 4 was the decision to do fully voice acted characters that led to a really shitty dialogue and took away a lot of the RPG elements, and it just took up a lot of their development time as well, which led to other things being dragged down. So obviously a lot of the dialogue is going to be between other friends and stuff, but I think this
you don't need any dialogue.
I'm glad that obviously I don't think they would have ever done that again. I think they've realized after Fallout 4 that they don't want to ever do that again. So here's to hoping they don't do it in Elder Scrolls 7.
Yeah, that'll be interesting. Yeah.
Maybe they just have such a big budget for it they can.
They could do it in.
Time.
They could do voice in Starfield because there's no precedent for the franchise, right? So you can say, "Oh, don't do voice dialogue in this because."
With a 4-option response.
Yeah, because you could still in Starfield though, because like this is the way we want Starfield to be, right? So they could get back in the voice acting.
They've literally been making the new Elder Scrolls since the release of Elder Scrolls 4. I don't know. Maybe they just put so much time into it that. They've done all this voice.
I don't think because remember when Fallout 4 came out, they were like, we haven't started on Elder Scrolls.
That's
yet,
cool.
So.
They've been.
I don't
know if they have. I don't know if they have files on the
bullshit,
computer, but they're certainly been talking about it since.
Well,
forever.
they've got drawings.
And if you look at all the other Elder Scrolls game, all of the previous ones, Morrowind to Oblivion to Skyrim, they all have references to things that are going to be in the future game. They're always thinking, they're 5D'ing it up right now. When they had Arena, they're like, I know someday we're going to have Skyrim, and we're going to milk it for about 7 8 years, and then we're going to have our new release.
Then speaking of Elder Scrolls, that's when they start talking about Blade, or Blades.
Blades.
They're making a Blade
really
video
cool.
game.
I think it's really cool, especially that it's free.
I called it that it's free.
free.
I want to say I called
Yeah,
it.
you
You
did.
guys said $15, $20 free.
Coming out fall.
They're gonna have so much money from 76. That
exactly.
You're gonna buy some loot boxes.
There'll definitely be some in-game purchases in this.
Oh yeah, I'm sure like customizable stuff for your town and stuff. I think that's a really cool idea, and that it kind of has that RPG element with the you just kind of build up your town, and then other people can come visit to see what you've decided to build.
It just looks so phenomenal for a mobile game. Like that's just, to me, is just crazy. Like me personally, I can't see myself playing this.
Yeah.
Just because I'm not a mobile gamer.
And it will still have its limitations. I feel like there's like but it's still like you're never gonna get that full experience.
For me, what has me really interested was just that one moment when he's like, "Hey, you can go to different towns," and the one they showcased is Coral, which is one of the main cities from Oblivion. And so I just love walking around, exploring that. Like, I've always loved the cities in all these Elder Scrolls games because you can go in every single building, you can interact with everyone. So I don't know, obviously, how much of that you're going to get in this game, but it has me hopeful of, like, you know, why not bring St. Anin or Balmora, some other city from Morrowind over? Let me walk around that.
Did they showcase Vivek? Like, was that in Blades? Or
no, you're thinking... I mean, maybe they did and I missed it, but you're thinking of Elder Scrolls Online when they showed the Vivek, Canton, and then Lord Vivek.
One thing that I think actually is really cool too is the way that like they just kind of hinted at it, but the way how you can choose what direction you attack from and stuff. I feel like that will actually, like, if they use that to their advantage there, it could actually add some depth to the arena PvP kind of thing. And that, so like you have your shield and you choose like a direction to block from, and then like the wind up for attacks are very obvious, but you don't necessarily know which angle they're going to attack from. So it kind of adds that kind of rock paper scissors element.
That's always been
blocking, attacking,
For Honor has a question.
And I think that's super cool to implement that in a mobile game, and it actually looks like it's really simple to implement it, but just no one's thought of it.
Yeah, it's a lot of like depth to a PvP, right?
What also helps if you have the ability to put the title Elder Scrolls on.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm sure there has been games that have done that. What was I gonna say? Yikes! My mind.
I don't know.
Was regarding.
Oh, I was just gonna say, the combat. I think that is a really good thing because you know Morrowind, Oblivion, and even Skyrim, all of them, they've had differences in combat, and I think they've gotten better in some ways. But one thing all those games have always lacked is really a strong sense of immersion from the fighting itself. Because you're swinging your sword around, you can like move backward and forward, you're trying to get out of their range, and you hit them and they don't really react. You hit them and they're just like still running at you, and it never really feels like you're the one swinging the sword.
And then there's like Morrowind, it's like a hit chance too.
Morrowind is just about spamming and hoping that you have enough, percent chance to hit. So that's something that obviously Skyrim has gotten better at, but still I don't think it's all that great. So. Obviously, next Elder Scrolls game, they're always pushing combat forward, trying to make it better. And so I think for a mobile game, like, cool, why not try some other stuff out with this?
Yeah, and if it goes well, they could easily implement a lot more depth.
Because that's actually something that was actually something in Morrowind that they since removed, is like striking from certain angles and stuff. Because different weapons do more damage if you stab with them, or if you swing, or if you do a charging attack, and they removed that from Oblivion and Skyrim, so they're kind of bringing that back in a way with Blades in a slightly different way.
Yeah, but hopefully a cool hint at the next Elder Scrolls, right? Hopefully they're going back to that
depth.
Yeah, exactly.
Gameplay depth.
Yeah. And like as far as mobile games, I generally just kind of look down on them, and they're very basic. I think from at least from what I've seen, I'm sure there's some pretty intriguing ones out there, but this one looks like it actually has like so much more to it than just. Pressing buttons.
The verticality alone, I mean, that's
having the portrait mode.
You can see a roof and a floor.
Yeah, you're just on your phone. People are like, oh, they just texting people. It's still in the conversation.
I'm fucking up goblins, dude.
Fucking looting this shit.
It's cool too how it's. They said there's like magic and like ranged weapons too. It's not just solely sword and shield, which is awesome.
Yeah, no, I'm definitely downloading this, playing it, if it runs on my phone. I'm not sure if it will. My phone's a little outdated at this point.
It's going to kill that battery too.
I won't play it for sure, but mad props to what they're doing.
I won't play it for sure.
I don't like
last thing I really like is they bring it to other systems and PC and stuff, and all cross-compatible with your
that's super
with
cool,
your progress, which is nice. Because it's the same thing with. I think that's the same thing with Fallout Shelter, although I'm not going to confirm that 100%. But I'm pretty sure that was something they announced when they did bring it to PC, and then obviously Elder Scrolls Legend card game, you can all your stuff is transferable as well.
And then I didn't even put 2 and 2 together until just now, but with it being on PC and VR and stuff, that sort of, if they do implement that kind of combat system of blocking and stuff, that could actually be like a really cool thing for like PC players, and there could be some I don't want to say esports thing, but I'm just gonna speculate right now and say like there could be a competitive scene of people going to the arena with VR and stuff, and
there's gonna be people talking about strategy and the best weapons, best strategies,
and all that kind of stuff, because it's not constrained to just being a mobile game.
Which is awesome though, because like you feel like for a mobile game, like you can never imagine something like that coming out of it, you know? Like it's awesome.
It's crazy how they present it as a mobile game, but it seems more like a PC console game that you can play on the mobile.
Totally.
So it's crazy that like, I don't know, it's just crazy that it's marketed as a mobile game, but it's pretty much a PC console game that runs on a mobile phone.
And looks gorgeous.
Awesome. And thematically as well, the Blades is I don't know what to call them exactly. I guess it's just a group of...
They were originally the protectors of the Emperor.
Right.
And then,
then
when dragons were around, they were dragon hunters, which their leader was the Dragonborn at the time.
So you see a lot of them in Oblivion, obviously, and you go to...
A little bit in Skyrim, because obviously you're the Dragonborn, and then they're kind of coming back. But it's definitely more around that Cyrodiilic era of Oblivion, right?
Yeah, they're probably the Imperial basis, and right north of Bruma is like their hideout in Oblivion that you can go to. So just cool lore stuff, throwing it back, and obviously Coral's from Oblivion. So I'm curious actually how much of this, because I don't know if it'll just be like little subset areas, and then like classic mobile game they'll kind of release update here or there with just different areas. I wonder if they're going to go across the map or if they're sticking in Cyrodiil and kind of chilling there.
It'd be interesting to see for sure.
It's cool to think too, with Skyrim VR, obviously there's still certain limitations with that, like when you're swinging and all that stuff, but with this and being able to swing certain angles and everything, being in VR with this, I feel like that's a huge upgrade for Elder Scrolls in the VR sense. So
that actually, I saw someone who was playing Fallout VR, Fallout 4 VR, and they're like, you can't do this in VR, and he like takes his gun and just like angles it like through a hole in the wall, and he's like shooting this guy like really unfairly just through a wall. These are the things we can unlock. Just drop a fireball.
We get to move on?
Yeah.
Okay. Next I see Starfield. This was for me more exciting for 6, just because we've heard it for the past, we've heard since we started this cast that they've been working on a space RPG, and I just think
copyrighted the name like a couple years ago.
Yeah, I'm surprised it's the actual name, because so many times that's usually just a code name, and then when the actual game gets there, it's not. So whoever's been reporting these for years, you got your good sources. So
it's been Todd Howard the whole time.
Yeah.
And they're pretty good about hiding stuff.
Very minimal teaser. Obviously, Brick's going to point out the blacks you could see in the screen. But other than that, what I would take away is 2 things. One, stuff that I've already saw in the cast is that I think it's just them being in space is very exciting. They already create these huge, open, unique landscapes. Space, obviously you could already do anything.
Final Frontier?
Yeah, also you could already do anything with something like the medieval times or something like Fallout after the world's gone to shit. But this is literally going to different planets, and they can create different species.
And they can do hell they want.
Yeah, and I'm very excited to just think about what they could do in space, and just even already just the touch of that ship that they showed. Yeah, it's just a ship, but it looked very unique, looked very different. They produce very different games. That's why just the idea of this in space, that's what gets me excited. Because it could be something very unique. Yeah. I'm a big KOTOR fan, Mass Effect, so I'm always down for a good space RPG.
Totally. And I feel like this is like the final the final thing that Bethesda had to do. They have the medieval, they have the guns, modern, Fallout. Yeah, exactly. But this futuristic, like you said, it's endless possibilities of what they can do. And with Bethesda, they're so creative and so they're so huge on their worlds, and it's just so blown away with details, and like you said, every little building you can go in, so you think on a galactic scale.
You kind of forget how crazy that is, because they've been doing it for so many years now.
Exactly.
But really, Mara, they've been doing that since Mara was.
Exactly. It's like a sandbox where you just go and explore anything you want, and it's just if you enter that into space, it's just it's so much bigger on a scale. So it'll be definitely interesting to see how big they go with it, if it's just a couple little worlds that you can go, or if it's multiple, and it's just, I'm so excited to see what they do.
And we talked about that with CD earlier, about companies and developers making completely different games, different worlds, and it's just another step in that direction. They're showing they could just keep pumping out the similar things, but they got Fallout on the go. Elder Scrolls is coming back, but there's another thing coming, and it's something to be excited about. It's not just the same old games here or there, so it's something fresh. So.
And even now, they're doing with Fallout 76, they're still reinventing the games and the IPs that they already have in. With Elder Scrolls 6, if it goes to Aquavir.
Aqua in the water.
I was hoping you finished the word, but
I didn't know what you were saying.
I didn't either. That's why But yeah, it's great that they're constantly innovating what they already have, and then on top of that, they're making this completely new IP, as you said. And I think one thing that's absolutely amazing about it being space is that you can literally keep adding new content to the same base game
infinitely.
Yeah. Because you can literally, there's like, all right, so we want to do this crazy idea. Okay, let's just make this planet.
Yeah,
you go to this planet, and all the rules here are this way, and there's no restrictions. There's no canon or lore that holds you back, because you can literally make an excuse for anything.
Exactly, like
making
on that point, like it could be like, oh, let's keep working in the solar system, and then okay, let's just go to a different galaxy. Kind of like what Mass Effect did on Andromeda, right? Totally not attached.
It's even a different medium, but that's how Star Trek became so popular back in the day, to tell like storylines and messages about what's happening on our Earth. They'd go to a planet and it'd be something completely different, some sort of theme, but it's like, because it's a complete planet, you can do that. You don't have to. There's no rules or regulations. Where even Fallout and Elder Scrolls, there's a world they keep building upon, but they have rules, right? And that's the other thing too. It's just we don't know the rules of this world yet, and I'm most excited about weapons, because I really want to see what they're going to do, because already in Fallout there's some kind of high-tech sort of weapon, so you got to put a different sort of spin on it. I don't want just like another skin of Fallout weapons on there with lasers or plasma guns. And I'm not saying I want a lightsaber, but I'm very excited to see what spin, and I trust them to have a new spin.
Energy sword.
That's a tough thing people always fall into, right? But I'm interested to see what they put on a spin for that, because Jesus, I'm falling all over. But because that could be, for me, it's not going to make or break, but it's a vital piece of the game for me, because it's something completely new, and I want it to feel completely new. And obviously there's a big difference between Elder and Fallout, but it's because they're completely different time areas, right? So
now you can have you can have a game that incorporates that kind of melee combat and whatnot, but also incorporates that more ranged combat with Fallout, and meld it all into one big mess. And
in Fallout, there's melee weapons, right?
Yeah,
so
exactly.
It'll be interesting to see how they do.
I think it'll be really cool. I'm really excited to, honestly, like, the biggest thing for me is for this, have that feel of Oblivion and Morrowind, where you kind of go and explore everything, but instead of sort of in a medieval setting, you have it in like a massive space station, or like a massive colony on a planet, and it's all this futuristic high-tech stuff that you can go and explore and have this huge experience. And that's not something, I think we'll get a similar experience through Cyberpunk, but Cyberpunk's, even then, it's
isolated.
It's going to be contained to sort of a city and earthly, and it's still futuristic, but it's not like spacefaring future as far as we know. And so I think this is going to be just absolutely revolutionary.
There's still a part of me, because those rumors were true, that some of the rumors were saying is in the Fallout universe. I still kind of hope that's not. I know they're on different planets. I thought you brought up a good way of saying, oh, don't go to that planet because of what happened to it, but I don't think
I said that, but that is good.
On other casts you did,
good for me.
Yeah.
Good job, Dylan.
And it is a good way. I just
really contributing.
There's a part of it that just really wants this to be completely new and fresh. And I know, and it might not be a big deal, but I just don't want to.
I think it will, and that's.
I think it will, because they're saying this is their original, right? Like a brand new first thing that they've done in 25 years. Where it's not attached to something.
So it gets me super excited, because if you look at Elder Scrolls and Fallout, not just with Fallout Shelter, the additional games they're making, Elder Scrolls, obviously as a card game and an MMO that they're making, but there's so much care and attention given to all of these like IPs, and there's each one of them has so much character, and so just for them to expand to like adding a third IP is like, it's just huge for Bethesda, because it just means that every year we're going to be getting so much more announcements, and like obviously we'll get like spin-offs and things, and as you guys are saying, the endless possibilities of space. So this just has me super excited, because I've been feeling a little bit fatigued with some of Bethesda's choices lately, but obviously this is a good way to reignite my faith in the company. And I mean those last three, like announcing Elder Scrolls, Fallout 76 taking a new direction, and Starfield, like, you're back on top, Bethesda. Like, I'm in love with you again.
Exactly. And it is a huge reel, but I do want to point out, if you look at Elder Scrolls and you look at Fallout, those are games that obviously they were big in their time, but they built up this reputation. And every time a sequel would come out, you still always have that fan base. This game, I think, will have a lot more scrutiny, because it is a new IP. So there's going to be, I think this almost has maybe it's not as Elder Scrolls 6, but this is gonna have just under that amount of pressure. I honestly feel because it's a new IP and everyone's gonna be thinking, especially with it being in space, everyone's gonna build up all these ideas, everything like that. So it is big, but it is a risk, and it is something that it's not bulletproof. We talk about this with Star Wars, right? There's a chance this game could come out, and because of expectation hypes, that it's like it didn't match those 2 ones, right? Because Fallout and Elder Scrolls, such huge staples. Almost everyone's now assuming that Starfield has to match those, right? Like it has to be on that level. So they're gonna have to put, and they've said they've been working on it for years, so that makes sense. But it's not a shoo-in to be great. I want to throw it out there because it's just because it's. They wanted it to be a third tier. You can tell the way they place this. They want this to be the next big one. They're thinking. I think it could be, but I think
my soft counter to that is that as much as I am negative towards Skyrim and Fallout 4 on occasion, still like the bottom line of Bethesda games are still like insanely high and miles above many other games.
Yeah.
So as I have a lot of problems with those games, but they're still fantastic on their own. Taylor, fantastic on their own.
Yeah.
So yes, obviously. I'm not. It's not just going to be a 10 out of 10 game off the top of my head, just because it's Bethesda.
Yeah.
They still have to earn that. But fuck, I'm so excited.
What you were saying earlier, how you're kind of getting fatigued with what Bethesda was coming out. I totally agree with you there. Like how it was basically every time that Bethesda game studios would come out with a game, like you're expecting Elder Scrolls, Fallout, right? Like those are the 2 things you're expecting. But as a Bethesda fan, like I'm just so excited to get that third party or like that third game.
Huge
that's coming. It's totally different genre, and it's just like. You're not just every year, okay, Skyrim, then Fallout. Like, okay, it's like Starfield now. Like, it's so exciting to me. Like, and just getting jitters.
For me too, like I absolutely loved Oblivion, and I love Fallout 3. And then I haven't touched Skyrim or Fallout 4. But this is, it's great to see that, like, this has just got me so reinvigorated for Bethesda Game Studios games.
Yeah. Again,
because if they had followed the same formula, I probably wouldn't touch Fallout 76. I probably wouldn't touch Skyrim. Maybe I'd probably check out Elder Scrolls 6, but still, I'd be skeptical about it because Skyrim and Fallout 4 just didn't have a huge grab for me. But now that they're like showing what they're doing and what they've
switching it up,
the fact that they're reinventing Fallout with 76 there, and it's just it gives me hope that like 6 is gonna recaptivate my love for the Elder Scrolls games, and that Starfield is just gonna be something absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
So I'm super stoked on Bethesda again.
One thing I'm kind of questioning though, because like in Fallout and Skyrim, I guess in Skyrim like you have horses, but it's not really any mounts. But I feel like in a space setting, like you think they'd introduce.
That's always something I've been curious if they're ever
going
gonna do that in Fallout. So
I
think that is something they should try to push in Starfield.
I feel like in Starfield they could easily like not do that. Like, oh, if you want to get to this place, okay, you have to go to this like fast travel
teleportation,
or like they have carriages sort of thing. Like you can go that and move around. But like I think it would just be so awesome if like you kind of like get your own spaceship, customize it.
Hopefully,
like, hopefully.
I think I could see them doing like limited spaceship stuff within like within a certain radius of like a space station or something, and then maybe there are like jump points. Or something, so that you have that vehicle kind of gameplay, but it's not like you have to fly the whole distance between planets or something. Something like that would be really cool.
That's not necessarily the most fun thing.
No,
And then so you have that kind of that limited outer space thing that's kind of around, and then maybe there's like asteroids and stuff that you can go land on or stuff, and then you have those jump points for the quick travel.
I really want to see space combat.
And then that'd be super cool. And then and then I think like space station wise, planet wise, on planets you've used a mount, but for like big space stations, just walking around would probably be fine. Yeah. There could be like escalators and
escalators.
Elevators.
No,
dude, that's futuristic.
What are those things that have at the airport?
I can't think of the word.
Speedy ramps.
Horizontalators, that's what they are.
Horizontalators. Amazing.
Yep. That's what I got.
You got anything on Starfield?
You guys are gonna cover it all. I don't even know what to chime with. I mean, all I can say is I feel like when you're looking at it on like a galactic scale, that with Elder Scrolls you have like your basic towns within a continent. I feel like Starfields you could look at it like if your towns are your planets, and the continent is your galaxy.
So much bigger scale.
So yeah, each town, you have bounties in and stuff that may be not the same as the other towns in Elder Scrolls. Same for the planets, different rules, bounties, that sort of stuff. It just gets me really excited. I've wanted, ever since I was in high school, actually, I wanted something from Bethesda that was space themed, but Skyrim-esque. Yeah. Like I love, not Skyrim-esque, but Elder Scrolls-esque, I should say. Yeah. I've never been able to really chime into Fallout. It wasn't something for me, even though I gave it a try, thinking maybe it has elements that can satisfy my thirst for something that's space themed that is coming out of Bethesda. It didn't cut in the end. I just ended up going back to Elder Scrolls, but this is finally something I am very, very excited for this. I don't know what they're gonna bring out. I'm just going in completely empty-minded.
Possibilities are endless.
Yeah, the possibilities are endless. There's literally anything that they can do and anything at their disposal for this game and this new title, so props to them.
I want to say a question for everyone.
I like questions.
With the amount of content that they can feasibly put into a game on launch, do you guys want there to be, for Starfield, more kind of less planets, but more area to experience on the planets, or more planets, so larger variety, but more condensed?
I feel like
first for me.
I feel like if there's more planets, it'll kind of have that No Man's Sky feel where there's a lot of bare bones to it, but they can put so much more detail if they only have a number of planets. Like if they kind of kept to a solar system sort of scale, because I feel like it'd be, I don't know, even then that's quite a few planets.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm curious because something they did way back in the day with Elder Scrolls Daggerfall was that obviously it was a massive map, bigger than any current Elder Scrolls game, but a lot of it was just empty, randomly generated stuff, and it ended up being completely empty. Obviously we're in a day and age with a whole lot more technology, so the possibility of having bigger planets, or any planet you do is going to be big, really. But they could have large segments of it be randomly generated and still have it interesting, possibly. I'm not sure. It's so hard to say, just because I don't know, maybe there's only one planet and some space stations or something. I don't know what kind of game this really
because
is.
Also the thing is, if the story is you got to go to this place, it doesn't mean the story is you're going to have to be going to all these different planets, right? So the story might dictate you to only go to one or two planets, and they wouldn't have the need to be we need 50 planets.
The story could be you crash on this planet, and the end of the game is you getting off the planet, and it's just you starting from scratch.
One little I know it's kind of a stretch, but from the teaser, they only really showed the one planet, right? And then one little space station, it looked like. Mm-hmm. So, from my first thoughts, I feel like they definitely only have one, maybe two, but maybe put an emphasis on the space station.
Yeah. The way I got it with maybe the flux of lights was just a cool effect, but there was that big flux of lights. That made me feel like there would be an emphasis on space travel. Mm-hmm. So the way my prediction is that you kind of have your central kind of space station as the main hub, and then you go to different planets and stuff from there, and then I think there probably will only be a couple planets, but I'm leaning more towards not having, because you can only put so many resources and so much area to cover, and procedurally generating a thing can only get you so far until it's literally just empty swaths of landscape, and there isn't going to be, as far as these games have gone, there isn't a whole lot of sort of mounted travel per se. Obviously there's horses and whatnot, but as far as vehicles and stuff goes, there's not too much. So unless they implement that well, having almost an entire planet accessible to you is just almost pointless, and it's gonna make the game a lot shallower than it could be. So what I'd like to see is kind of, you have your hub, say this is a space station, and then you kind of have your interstellar travel, and you go to different planets, and there's maybe a colony set up, or maybe it's a well-established city, and then you kind of do a more contained, there's still a good amount of a good expanse of land that you can cover and explore, but more contained and more concentrated, so that they can really focus on a lot of details rather than focusing on really spreading everything out.
I feel that's a really good point too, because I don't know, going back to if it was just one planet, I feel like it'd be hard to put an emphasis on space if you're just on one planet, right?
Because then why call it Starfield?
Exactly, your point on the central hub of a space station is really good, because you are in space. If you're looking out, you see the stars, you see all that stuff. So I feel like that is a very good guess on
one thing looking at things Bethesda have done in the past, between Elder Scrolls and Fallout, obviously there's always like places that have been or are currently settled. There's always buildings that you can go into, and the draw is that you can go inside every single building. That's always great.
Yeah.
Not every single, but almost every building. But if you're on like an uninhabited planet or just like a more wild planet, you're not necessarily going to have all those like loading zones for going into a whole bunch of buildings. So maybe just in terms of like hardware, maybe that's a better ability for them to have more open areas that you can explore, but they'll be like amplified because you don't have as many like smaller areas. Now obviously logistically it helps to have loading zones because just the way consoles and games and stuff like this run. So yeah, I don't know. I think if it's just one planet, I think people would be pretty disappointed in that.
I think so. I think for me it's like 3. Three is like a sufficient one. A starting planet, then 2 other ones you'd go to.
And then that gives them room to add more.
Totally.
Yeah, DLC. You can do DLC forever.
Yeah, exactly.
Subscription service.
Until the engine starts to kind of get old, and then they release a new one.
Uh-huh.
So, I mean, they could also just have a variety. Some planets are like these big open landscapes with maybe vehicles and lots of places to go to, and then some are just like maybe it's just a colony just starting on that planet. So the rest of it is literally just barren that is inaccessible to whatever race you are, and you're just stuck on this one colony trying to help these guys get started on the planet.
Because we did just get this teaser. When's the next time we hear anything about this game?
Next E3.
Yeah.
Radio silent until then.
Maybe like a quick tease or like a Twitter post or something just before E3.
Yeah.
But I don't think we get a full on
that's a
trailer or
do,
any
right?
any
They
sort
have
of
it.
Depends if
It works so well for Fallout that they're gonna keep.
Walmart
doing
Canada might.
I don't think
step in.
I don't think we get any
that was
sort
a
of
good joke as well.
That was great. Yeah.
content or anything until next E3 for sure.
I don't think so either. Maybe QuakeCon, big trailer, gameplay.
And then after that was Elder Scrolls 6. Also, we talked about that. Was there anything you guys wanted to add on that? But
I think we
I
touched
can't
on it a
wait to
lot
find
more
out.
at the start. But it really could be anything. And I think I'm excited for it. I want to see what it is.
The thing is, like,
it was just landscape and a title.
Yeah, it's very basic, and obviously the thing that always people are talking about is like what province are they going to hit next, whether or not it's a province from Tamriel or they go to another continent. Honestly, whatever it is, I'm excited and looking forward to it.
Doesn't matter what it is.
Yeah, it's gonna be
for me,
it's gonna be exciting, it's gonna be fun, I'm curious where it's gonna take place in the timeline, and yeah, I don't know. Super excited. I'm just so glad that we have. Obviously, the title isn't anything interesting; it's just a number. But
still, though,
just that acknowledgement.
yeah, and obviously
exactly.
there probably
there.
will be a
It's
little
coming.
headline or something under it, subtitle under it when it's more farther along or something. But I don't know. The acknowledgement is enough to get me super hyped. And
oh man, chills just thinking about it.
Yeah.
Because when they
Just
showed it, and then I
waited
could
so long
hear the
for this.
music, and I'm just like, oh my god.
I still
it's
remember
happening.
the first night that Skyrim came out, and I was just like on my computer, just waiting for that play button to be clickable, and I just had it pre-downloaded. I'm ready to go.
Yeah.
And Elder Scrolls has such a special place in my heart.
Absolutely.
Discovering Morrowind as a kid was like just this mind-blowing thing, and then
Unfortunately, I wasn't the first one, or my first game wasn't Morrowind. It was Oblivion, but still, it just it was such a experience that just stuck with me, and it's been such a huge part.
The
of,
soundtrack, every time I hear it, I just get
Oh.
goosebumps.
I know,
Yeah.
I love it.
Very powerful series.
Very powerful.
It's definitely my favorite series.
Yep.
Of any game. by
That
far.
and Smash Bros.
Yeah.
Wow.
Rating times.
Let's
Great
go.
Absolutely.
times.
I'm dropping a 4.5. It would have been a 5 if it wasn't for a few little hiccups there.
Yeah.
But I think, in most times, I think the hiccups would have brought it down to a 4. But the ending half was not even for myself because these guys are a lot more hyped about the games than I am. But it was the presentation of it and the flow of it and how it's done. And Todd Howard's a great host. And like I said, they have their finger on the pulse, and that's how you can tell. It doesn't come off as cheap. It doesn't come off as a presentation. It doesn't come off lame. So that brought all the way up. If there was a few things cut, a few things went a little better, this would have been a 5 for me. Even though I usually give 5s for stuff that I gotta cheer or stand up for, but I would have given it 5 just presentation alone. But a 4.5, very, very strong. A few things maybe you don't need a band to kick off your E3 conference, but yeah, great conference. Easily the best of the weekend so far, and I think it could end up being the best, to be honest, because Sony, there's not going to be many surprises with Sony, so I think it could end up being the best one this weekend. So We'll see.
I'll give it I was 4.5 definitely. The beginning segments were definitely a little choppy and sloppy, and the pacing
Choppy
was
and sloppy.
choppy and sloppy. The
That'd
band
be a
like
good restaurant.
it wasn't that bad, but
Right next to the search bar.
I don't know. It's just and then a lot of
Unneeded.
Like, exactly,
Yeah.
and then like the Elder Scrolls Online guy just going like this.
Make a bar.
You know,
Yes,
getting those applause
come
going.
on.
Come on, cheer me on. But like very unnecessary. But honestly, from like Todd Howard on, like it honestly like it made me forget about like the first part of the conference. So the ending just carried it so strongly, and that's a solid 4.5 for me.
Easily, I'm gonna give this a 4.75. I mean,
One up in
mixing it up, adding another decimal point. This man's one upping everyone.
honestly, I gave Xbox a 4.5. I'm not gonna tie it up because this is obviously better than Xbox's, for my opinion. I mean,
4.51.
no, it was still it was a whole
extra 25.
like quarter more.
Whole quarter more.
Yeah, definitely. So, but I can't give it that 5 out of 5 because that whole half was a little bit crazy. It was enjoyable with you guys,
It's
obviously.
crazy.
But watching it by myself, I was like, oh.
Yeah.
But no, it's
It's
just
gonna make it into the cringe compilation.
yeah.
Can't wait to see.
Like exactly like what you said, Kirkland. No, when we get to that other like second half of the conference, you do forget about the whole
When the
first
Messiah
half.
came out on stage.
Oh, it got so much better. I mean, he righted so many wrongs. I feel like, and it was really well executed, delivered. I got so excited so many times, and I just like games that I thought like I didn't think I would really chime into the whole Fallout 76 thing because Fallout, as I said many times, it's not my thing, but I really felt a pull to that. It looked like it would be such a fun, engaging
You were
game.
discussing with me. It was like we could totally play this.
Yeah,
We're discussing
so,
everything.
Yeah, they
That
excluded
was
us
way
all.
too official.
They excluded us all. Like, these are games we can play together, Kirkland. I was like, oh.
Yeah, that was pretty rude, Taylor. I'm a little hurt by that.
Well,
Fuck these guys.
It's,
There's only 4 of us. We could play together.
It's like yesterday, and Kirkland's like, we want to play the same games together, but we have different consoles. It's something we wanted since Target. It's something we've been longing for, but
that guy doesn't have an Xbox.
This dude has a PC.
On PC. I remember the one snap
four
that just
PC
hurt my
boys?
feelings. You're like Overwatch. I'm like, oh man, we'll play Overwatch.
We'll play
together.
Overwatch. We'll play.
Oh, I don't know. Kind of dead now.
It's a long
That
story,
ship
but
has sailed.
no, I easily 4.75. I think this was just a fantastic conference, and I really don't know if anything is going to top it. Like it's like I said earlier with the Xbox. Like I went into this
you
whole.
still got Ubisoft and more, bro.
I know, but I went into this whole. I went into
Games
EA.
revealed already.
Not yet.
Yes.
I went into E3 with the anticipation of highly praising Nintendo for what I was going to get for my Switch and what they were going to deliver. I was really excited, and I knew, as I said, Xbox and Ubisoft was going to deliver, but I was mostly anticipated for Nintendo. This has just gone right up there for me, and at this point, I'm very curious to see what's going to come next.
Mhm.
This is
Many of the things around the corner.
it's a very good middle ground that we've
That's
reached
solid.
right now. It's a very high point, so I mean, it could go higher or lower.
Some nice Rage box art.
Ooh, that's really nice.
I think
I just
also
love the colors.
also
of it.
looking at
It's
the box
so
art, I just realized
exciting.
another reason why I like this game is because it's giving us some major Mad Max vibes going
Oh,
on
yeah.
right now.
Big time.
Reminds me of like
this
a
is on my
Guardians.
radar.
You know, like a
Yeah,
Guardians.
Mad Max meets Deadpool meets Guardians meets Bethesda.
As I said at the start, I'm going to be judging this based on pre-Todd Howard and post-Todd
I
Howard.
said no.
Pre-Todd Howard show, I'm going to give it a 3 out of 5. I think for me personally, a lot of like the cringy, poorly done stuff.
It was kind of hard to watch.
A big part
honestly.
for me, like that doesn't. I'm not like that doesn't like completely destroy a conference.
No.
What destroys a conference is when some PR person comes out and talks about nothing game related for 20 minutes and just like tries to spin something in some weird way that's related to gaming.
What
but it
about
has nothing to
Mike,
do with
who
games.
was literally asking for applause at one moment?
Yeah, no, that was bad.
But
I think a part of that though is you're asking game developers and people who have no PR experience to go and stand up and talk in front of a crowd.
That guy's been on stage the last 2 years.
Has he? Well then,
but his wife
Sucks
just
for
left
him.
him recently, remember? So
4 years
Five
ago.
years
That's rough. But that's what I keep saying.
But
Go
Mike,
find her.
Mike was.
I think there is some, at least for me, some room for forgiveness in that, and I think the
Gotta
gameplay,
forgive, right? Gotta forgive.
the game demonstrations and whatnot definitely like stood out enough for me. They're good enough that
Good demos.
it gives it a pass at least. It brings it up from like a 2 or a 1.5 to a 3 because I every single game they teased, aside from Elder Scrolls Online and the Legends, pretty much like what was it? Prey, Wolfenstein, Rage 2, Doom. Each one of those I can easily see myself buying and playing through. So I was super stoked on pretty much everything they presented there. So that at least gives it a pass for me. And then moving forward to post
the
Todd Howard. That one for me 5 out of 5. Yeah. 100%. For me, it reminded me again of that. I keep throwing back to this, but Sony's presentation 2 years ago. It was something that no one expected, and it just completely blew everything that had happened before that out of the park. And I love it because they did it with, instead of a very kind of emotional, awe-inspiring vibe, they did it with a very comedic, fun, and sort of exciting vibe. And it just completely won me over. Like, I was just laughing, having a great time, smiling, and literally all the blunders up until this point were completely forgotten, and it just reinvigorated my love in these games, like in Elder Scrolls, in Fallout, got me super excited for Starfield. Yeah. And so, really, I mean, I couldn't have asked for anything more from that segment of the show. Yeah. Like, when I think of giving it a 5, I was like, what could they have done better? There's nothing. Like, it's like there's nothing else they could have done. They could have done other things that were equally as good. But they hit pretty much as good as it gets for that kind of
It's like it could have been a 5 out of 5 if they left it at Starfield, but they just totally went above and beyond, gave us the Elder Scrolls 6. It's like, what are you doing to us, Bethesda?
And literally, all my hopes I had for Fallout 76, I thought I was being super hopeful, super optimistic in what maybe I thought Fallout 76 might be, and I could never have hoped for what it is. Like, I could never have dreamed that this would have been a Fallout game, what we're getting. So it completely unexpected for me, and in the best way possible. So literally, unless they sell the rights to Fallout 76 to EA, I'm sold on it. I don't
think it's happening.
Yeah, I don't think they would do that. Yeah, for some reason, I can't think of why.
So I'm pretty much sold on. I know I'm gonna get it, Dylan's gonna get it. I'm gonna try and convince literally everyone to get it, and then just get a big squad. Because they only showed squads of 4, but I imagine you can invite
hundreds,
dozens,
yeah,
dozens of friends.
There are dozens of us.
It's so good. I just don't know what to say anymore. It's just amazing. Dylan, go.
As for myself, I'm gonna be that guy to just break the 5 on it. I'm dropping an easy 5, and I think that's just a testament to obviously the quality and the weird cringy stuff. That just shows the quality of everything else they showed. The 2 low points for me were Elder Scrolls Legends and Elder Scrolls Online, which are still I still like to see those things, and I still think they're cool. And those are the low points. Everything else was amazing. The Prey DLC.
The band
was amazing.
Yeah.
Love the band. Favorite band of all time. Steely Dan ain't got nothing on them. Prey, this Prey DLC is combining a game that I love from a studio I love with one of my favorite genres, the roguelike. I love Spelunky, Binding of Isaac, Swindle, Rogue Legacy. I love roguelike, such a inventive genre. And so to combine that with a game that I'm already in love with is amazing. So I'm really excited to play that. Rage 2 was a big surprise. Big shock for me. I just didn't know what to expect, and it just took that confusion in my mind and gave it some direction. So that was cool. Doom, Wolfenstein, always nice to see. And then breaking into that Fallout, I was very curious and cautiously curious as to what the reveal was going to be, and I had my hopes set in a certain direction, and they completely fulfilled that. And then went above and beyond. That is exactly the game I want, and they're giving it to us. And it's coming out this year. Yeah. So it's coming out in a few months. So that is amazing. They blew me away. And seeing, obviously we talked about Starfield and Elder Scrolls 6. Only the titles really, but just the titles alone have me more excited than any game I've seen at the rest of this E3. Yeah. So that just goes to show how powerful Bethesda is really when it comes to making unique, expansive games that are pushing the boundaries. So, and then also obviously the beginning part wasn't running so smoothly, but I loved that Skyrim skit that they had, and then everything Todd Howard just has such a good stage presence doing this every year, and Pathines as well. A great guy. He's always such a good energy, and because you can just tell that he is a gamer, tried and true, and has been forever. So, yeah, this was even like it wasn't a perfect conference, but it still gets a 5 out of 5. That's how fucking good it was. So, shout out to Bethesda. You're back on top, baby. I love you. I'm crawling back into your arms. Please, graciously accept me.
Forget all the hurtful things I said.
I will do anything you want. Anything, please. So when the Bethesda site's not crashed, I'm gonna go on there. I'm playing Blades, and I'm going into that Fallout 76 beta.
Oh yeah.
So once that internet hug of death is over, I'm gonna be back on there. So Bethesda, I love you.
My man,
Bethesda.
Taylor, where can they find us tomorrow?
Well, ladies and gentlemen out there, you can find us on Facebook in the search bar GeekVerse Space Podcast. You find all of our links, everything directed to Square Enix, Ubisoft, and Sony.
Yeah, those are the 3 ones tomorrow. Me and Taylor will be doing Square Enix. That's early at 10 a.m. So make sure.
10 a.m.
Shout outs to these guys.
Is it just
for
us
doing
two?
that.
I think it's just us three.
I gotta work in the morning.
And then at 1 we'll be doing Ubi, so we'll watch along and conference right after. And then I don't know if we'll be doing PC because it's at 3, and if Ubi goes 2 hours, maybe a review. We
Probably won't have time for that.
No, usually was better spaced out, but this year the conferences are kind of all over. And then Sony will be.
There always is a couple things I like about that, so maybe combine it with some Nintendo news or something. I'm not sure.
Sonya, and then Sony will be the big one. Also, we know what Big 4 they're showcasing, but I think they're gonna have a couple surprises here and there. And plus, I'm very much ready to see more Spider-Man as much as I can see.
Yeah.
So
I'm really excited for that.
Yeah, most importantly, I'd say this weekend, just do our social media, Twitter and Facebook. That's where you'll find when we're going live. That's when you'll find the reviews when they've gone up on podcasts, SoundCloud, iTunes, Stitcher Radio, all that. But just go to YouTube. You see our big, beautiful faces for the watch-alongs. As you can probably, if you watch along with the Bethesda one, we have a lot of fun. And yeah, we'll see you tomorrow for our final day E3, 3 press conferences, and we promise you it will not be boring.
Thank you for tuning in. Bye-bye.
Later, nerds.
Pew pew! I am spent.